Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. Today we have one of Big D's favorite meals as we kick off our month of meat and I just don't have any other way to charm that up really. We're doing a whole month of some really great main entrees that are protein based. So this one is a particular favorite of Danny's and you can read all about its history and where it was adapted from over at thebutteredhome.com. But this is our hamburger skillet with mushrooms and fresh spinach. This is an easy one-pan skillet meal and it'll be sure to fill up your whole family and you will love it. And just like all of our other recipes, it's easily modifiable. You can half it or double it or triple it even to feed a bigger crowd. So we're going to get started and show you how to make this one-pan wonder. But you can't say that 3 times. All right, so I'm getting my fire started. Now ahead of time, I have browned and drained 1 pound of ground beef. I've gotten just about all of the grease out, but I left just a little bit of a residue here, and that is because we need to add in a 1/2 cup of diced onion. Any color, any flavor will work just fine. And I think leaving just a little bit of that grease in here actually helps cook the onion just a little bit faster. If you're using lean ground beef or ground turkey, which is also a great substitute to make this even healthier than it already is, then you won't have a lot of grease residue. But if you wanted to, you could add a healthy fat to it like olive oil, but I wouldn't add but just maybe a teaspoon or 2. So to the onions, we're also adding 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. And we just want to cook these just until they've softened. So it doesn't take a long time. And the only thing we're going to season this with is just a little bit of salt, like 1/4 teaspoon, and about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And I should note, whenever I cooked the ground beef, I did not season it. So we're just going to season it this stage just to help this softening process. Salt helps break down and pull out the water from the vegetables. So it happens a little faster and vegetables cook a little faster whenever you use the addition of salt. So not to over salt, that's why I did not salt the beef. I simply add it in here. So we're just going to cook those until softened. And this recipe, y'all, we were talking about it. This is one that I've cooked here at home for years. So when I started the Buttered Home, it's southern cooking. So there were a lot of recipes that I've made for years and years as the girls were growing up and as Danny and I were a young married couple that I really didn't implement into the Buttered Home in the beginning because they were not so southern. And this is one of them. So this year, being that we're just doing like a standalone theme every month, it has allowed me to share some recipes that are my own, that are heirloom type recipes. And this one actually came from, I'll never forget, Danny and I had only been married just a little while. We were fortunate enough to finally, after about 5 years of marriage, to get, what I would have called growing up a satellite dish, but it was Prime Star. Many of y'all may remember that, and that was my first exposure to Food Network, and I've been hooked ever since. And there was a show, and I don't even remember the name of the show, but it featured some of the most popular dishes in the United States at local restaurants. And this is one that we saw on there, and it's been so long ago I can't even remember where it was. But this is a very simple 1 skillet dish that we just kind of took and made our own as a young couple. Our girls have grown up eating it. Reagan does not like to eat it because of all these mushrooms, but she's a trooper. She just picks them out because she likes it that good and will still eat it. All right, so my mushrooms and onions are fragrant and soft. So at this point, I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, if I don't burn myself first in the process. And we're just going to cook that just until it browns just a little bit. I always add the garlic last, naturally, because garlic will burn and it will be something nasty. Burnt garlic, you'll never forget it once you taste it. All right, so how I can tell that the garlic is just sufficiently browned is just by using my nose. So at this point, we are going to add our ground beef that I've drained back in and just mix all that together. And I'm doing this over medium to low heat. I start out closer to medium, and as everything starts to get done, I just bump the heat down just a little bit. So once everything gets good and mixed up and incorporated, I then kind of make a barrier or a perimeter and leave a hole in the middle. And here I have 4 eggs that I'm just going to lightly beat, and I'm going to do it off camera so that I don't make a mess and get just egg whites in there. Now, if you are watching your calories, you can just use egg whites for this portion, so it's not a big deal. But in that void that we have there in the middle, I'm just going to slowly add those eggs in. Then we're just going to let them sit for just a minute. We just want them to start to set up. I'm going to switch to a spatula at this point because this is where the beauty happens. So in my mind, this is almost a technique like that of fried rice, where you just want to incorporate the done egg into the rest of the proteins in the pan. So by letting this sit, you're forming a cooked surrounding. So then I just take a spatula and I just lightly start to move it around. And you'll start to see that done egg on the bottom start to come up, and then that will leave a new void where we have scraped that out and allow that uncooked egg to cook. Now, if you're thinking this is not gonna be good, then I challenge you to try it. So at this point it's starting to firm up, so I'll pull in a little bit of that mixed meat mixture with the onions, because this is the chance to get that egg nice and flavored with that garlic and the salt and pepper. And you'll see it doesn't take long, and you'll have a clean pan and your eggs will be cooked through. And then we just start to mix and pull it all in together. Now the eggs add a different texture in this, which I think is probably one of my favorite things about this dish, is that this is a pound of beef. So if you have a family of 4, a pound of beef, let's just be honest, it doesn't go far. So if you're trying to hit a certain amount of protein for the day, then that pound of beef, if you're feeding 4 grown people, is not going to do a whole lot. So the addition of the 4 eggs gives you more protein balance in the dish, and also adds a fun, fluffy, light texture, which means that you can serve this alone, or you can serve it over potatoes or noodles. It's also really good over toast on a cold night. I don't know, there's just something about it. So my eggs are incorporated in and mixed well, and they're gonna cook up firm. And at this point, I'm gonna lower my heat to low. And then I have 2 cups of, I'm using mixed greens because this is what I had on hand. So this is mustard greens as well as baby spinach. So, but the recipe will tell you just to use baby spinach, and that's fine too. But if you're like me and you keep greens on hand, then you can use what you have on hand. So we're just gonna lightly mix that in, and we just want these greens to just wilt just a little bit. And how long you cook them will be determined by your preference. So if you wanted to stop at this stage where they're just slightly steamed and you have a little crunch added to the recipe, by all means you could. Danny prefers his greens in here wilted just a little bit more, so I'm just going to continue just to move them around, and the steam and the heat from all of the cooked egg and protein and vegetables will wilt them pretty fast. So once that starts to happen, when they decrease in volume by 1/4 to 1/2, then I normally turn the heat off and just kind of spread it out, because I believe a successful marriage has compromise, and I like mine a little more firm. So we have a good mixture here of some firm vegetables as well as some that are good and wilted the way that Danny prefers them. So at this point, if I were over at my stove, I would remove it from the heat completely and then take a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese and sprinkle that right across the top. And this has got really all the salt you need. So that's why the recipe only calls for about 1/4 cup either way. So now dinner is served. This can be eaten right away. Like I said, I love to have it over those hearts of palm noodles that I enjoy these days so well. Danny and Reagan like to eat it just like it is. They also like to eat it sometimes over potatoes, and I've even eaten it in the past over toast. It can be served however you want to, paired with a nice salad or another green vegetable side, and you have supper in less than 10 minutes. And pretty flavorful too. So it dishes up beautifully. I'm gonna dip some out and just show you. And this is perfect on those nights when you get home from a busy day and you just don't know what to cook, but literally everything, probably 2/3 of the ingredients required for this recipe you already have in your pantry. If you did have to stop for anything, it might be the baby spinach, unless you're me and you keep that around, because it is a versatile vegetable. It can be eaten raw and it can be eaten cooked like this in vegetables, and it's so good for you. So this is our hamburger skillet with mushrooms and spinach. It's a favorite at our house, and we really hope that it becomes a favorite in yours as well. As usual, be sure that you follow us over on our social platforms. We have a lot of fun over at Facebook and Instagram, and we would love to have you join us there. And also, videos like these can be found at YouTube. So when you go there, be sure that you subscribe to our channel and ding the bell so that you can be notified whenever we drop new videos like this one. All of our recipes can be found at thebutteredhome.com. We're real proud of our website, and we would love for you to join us there as well. So we have a lot of really great meat mixture, not meat mixture, but meat recipes for the rest of the month. So we would love for you to join us every Monday when these videos drop. And join us here in my messy kitchen. Had somebody ask me the other day, your kitchen when you cook on these videos looks clean, why do you call it messy? And I said, because normally I am a messy cook, and I'm literally cleaning up stuff right now because stuff has jumped out of my pan. And what you don't see behind the camera is stuff on my other counters just kind of piled up, because we all work full time and do this on the side. So our life is real life, just like yours, and we love having you all here for it. So until next week, y'all have a wonderful rest of this week, and from the buttered home to your home, we love y'all. Bye.